otherwise we will start as soon as they are on the platform. So yeah, we'll start as soon as everyone is here. Let's just hang tight. Thank you, members and colleagues. Afternoon, members. Just another quick update. We're just waiting on the chairperson to join and we'll resume. He's currently training. So as soon as he's on the platform, the meeting will resume. Thank you.
Am I in now?
Yes, you are in, Chairperson.
Okay.
Afternoon, Chair, you are connected. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. I just hope it won't throw me out again. Apologies, honorable members. I tried to indicate, but even messages were not going through to committee support. I got thrown out of the system on the last item in the order paper on tourism, just towards the end. So I've been struggling to get network, so I had to shift a bit. Do we have the quorum to proceed?
Chairperson, good afternoon. Yes, we do have the quorum to proceed, Chairperson. Thank you.
No, thank you. Like I said, honorable members, sincere apologies. I think we can be able to start. I take it that Tembi Ngosi, we are on the one on MDDA.
Yes, Chairperson, we are on MDDA and we've received just one apology from Ms. Tembu, who is not well. Thank you, Chair. Okay, thank you. Yeah, just wanted to be sure because some of us are in every subcommittee that we are opening the right one. Honorable members, let me take this opportunity once again to welcome you. As I greet you this evening, I know you are from house sitting and it's been house sittings for the better part of the week. However, as agreed in the portfolio committee, was that we'll have to convene the subcommittees to finish up deliberations in the different subcommittees, and a report in that score would then go to the committee next week, Tuesday, for adoption.
Recording in progress.
You've been able to make time. Of course, I do note that we may be followed by South Africans in their different platforms, as I see. Greetings to fellow South Africans and members of civil society who always take interest in what we do as representatives of the people. Today's session is really about deliberations, but given the time lapse and as well as new members that may have joined the subcommittee owing to replacements that would have been made, it would be helpful that we just do a quick recap, which support staff would do in few minutes. And from that, we'll then be able to indicate how we are proceeding. But just for purposes of record, it's just to remind ourselves again that we are still on a virtual platform and the rules that apply in terms of virtual meetings would apply in this subcommittee. That at all times we'll have to ensure that our mics are muted if you are not recognized to speak, as well as your video camera switched off until the chairperson recognizes you to speak. At that point, you will then unmute and switch on your video camera and proceed. In a case where you are experiencing network challenges, you would indicate to the chairperson that you are experiencing that. In that case, you may need to switch off your video camera and therefore would proceed along those lines. For those that may be losing network or rejoining the meeting, please ensure at all times when you rejoin the meeting that your mic is muted and that your video camera is switched off so as to not to distract a speaker that may be on the platform, given that microphones are sensitive and they may pick up background sounds.
that may be disruptive to the meeting. Of course, let's also talk to point of orders, that vice members are allowed to raise point of orders at all times, ensure that you would not unmute the mic until that point of order is recognized by the chair and you're allowed to raise it accordingly. We are kindly advised that we do not raise unnecessary point of orders to a point of collapsing a meeting in this platform. I'm just raising those honorable members and participants on the platform purely as a reminder, so that we can have a meeting that runs very smooth. Like I said, once again, welcomed, but we can register now Tembinkosi formally. Apologies that have been received, Mr. Mo.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to honorable members. I've received one apology from Honorable Mthembu, who is not well. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you. I take it that that apology is granted and we have the numbers to proceed as already confirmed. I will therefore, without the waste of time in trying to get members back to where we started, up to where we are now, just a quick recap from the committee support. And then from that point, we'll then get to the business of the meeting, which is the deliberations post the interviews. Mr. and the team.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to honorable members. As you have indicated, Chairperson, this is just a recap of the process on the appointment of 2 members to the MDDA board. Chairperson, according to the MDDA Act, the board consists of 9 members. And 9 of those members are appointed through the recommendation of the National Assembly by the President, which is this process that we are currently busy with, Chairperson, and the other 3 are appointed by the President through recommendations from the commercial broadcast media, from the print media, and from government. Currently, Chairperson, and I have confirmed this with the MDDA Chief Executive Office, that the board is currently on 7 members, 4 having been appointed by the committee and 3 being appointed by the President. However, there are those 2 vacancies as a result of the end of term of Ms. Stella Togna Marina and Dr. Nombe Kombava on October 2020. And this committee was tasked to enable the public to nominate persons to fill those vacancies of non-executive members of the board in terms of Section 4 of the MDDA Act. Chairperson, the committee advertised those 2 vacancies and received 56 nominations, whereby the committee then established a 7-member subcommittee consisting of 4 ANC members, 1 DA, 1 EFF, and 1 IFP. Chairperson, the subcommittee, out of the 56 nominations received, shortlisted 13 candidates. And shortly before the interviews, Chairperson, 1 candidate withdrew. If I can mention, that was Dr. Mbava. She's the current chairperson of the Financial Fiscal Commission. Chairperson, in September, the committee interviewed the 12 remaining candidates. Qualification checks were conducted through our Parliamentary Human Resources Unit, and all qualifications of candidates, Chairperson, were verified. We did PSC checks, personal suitability checks, with the assistance of the State Security Agency as well. And Chairperson, now what is expected from the committee is to then deliberate on the outcome of those interviews and come with the recommendations that will be presented to the full committee on Tuesday when it meets on Tuesday, the 15th of March, that is in its next meeting, whereby we expect that the committee will then consider the recommendation of the subcommittee and adopt a committee report, which will then be recommending the 2 candidates for appointment to the MDDA board that will be tabled to the National Assembly. Chairperson, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ngoma. For the recap, I take it that this would have helped members a bit, especially those that may have come through as a replacement, particularly from the Democratic Alliance, who would have had confirmation that for the MDDA we have Honorable Bodlani. That's the indication I got. I'm raising it because I saw on the chat that Honorable Malatsi may join as soon as it's possible. For this subcommittee, there's one representation, and then in the SAPC one, there's the same, and in the one on ICASA, the same. So we'll proceed along those lines. Just as a reminder, honorable members, that we are at a stage where we look at how candidates would have been looked at based on their performance. The skills would have looked at those at the time of shortlisting, but also what we seek to address in each of these entities that we are recommending to fill vacancies for. We will do like we would usually do, where we allow presentations from different parties, try to find a common ground on engagement, and in as far as it's possible, avoid to divide the House in terms of voting on matters, because our take is that it should be in our interest to stabilize these entities by recommending the best candidates amongst the best that were available to come before the committee. Unfortunately, for purposes of this one, we can only recommend two names, which will still be sent to the House, and ultimately the President looks at that. I will, without then waste of time, ask, I'm not sure if Mr. Malika, you'd assist us like you usually do, to try and put up something there so that as we deal with names, we can be able to see what is able to motivate and put forward. Mr. Malika, would you be able to?
Yes, Chair, I'll be staring at a blank screen, but once the names are there, I'll capture them and post them.
Okay. All right, I will now take hands in terms of participation. I'm making an assumption reasonably so that Honorable Bodlani, Honorable Mpele, who has been reallocated from this committee, would have indeed taken you along in terms of the actual handover, and that the committee support would have given you any support you would have needed in order to be able to apply your mind. I'm happy for that confirmation, so as to be sure that the process is fair. Right. So in that score, as I said, I'll just check if there are hands. If not, I'll just go and call parties. I saw that we have almost all parties that participated in the interview process. We'll start with the ANC, followed by the DA.
I see Mr. Jose's hand is up, Chairperson.
Yes, I've just indicated so that everybody then participates and not and that we do not prolong the meeting. As I said, we'll start with the ANC, followed by the DA, then the EFF. We'll then have the IFP. I'm not leaving anybody out. All right. May I just check from the ANC?
Before Chairperson, I just wanted to
Yes,
check something.
Honorable Machozi.
No, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to check. Out of the 12 that we interviewed, how many Konje are we recommending? And is it because I know that we only have 2 vacancies, but how many? I remember because it's last year. Yes. I don't know whether we had said that we are recommending 4 or we are recommending the top 2 that we would have in our list.
Yes, Honorable Machozi, as it relates to the MDDA, remember we're reminded that we recommend for the vacancies, unlike ICASA where it will be 1.5, sort of 2.5, sorry, which then leads us to, if we're looking at 4, would be recommending 6. And in this case, it's 2 names, so the two top names would be what we send forward. Then the SABC, when we get to that committee, will also explain how it works different from the initial appointments we dealt with in the CASA. That's that, Honorable Machozi. I hope that help clarifies.
Yes, it does. Thank you, Chairperson. Maybe also can they flag the names that we had on the interviews?
Okay. Are you able to do that? As the summaries of the people who were interviewed?
Chairperson, I will, I'm just, I'm working on it. I will put up the names of the candidates that were interviewed shortly.
I'm allowing that on the basis that it's really just to help remind. Otherwise, they would have been in our packages. But given the period, I do understand you, Honorable Machozi.
Chairperson, on your screen are the names of the candidates that were interviewed by the committee. Sure, Chair, that's the 12 names, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Tengoma. Let me then maybe check with members whether they needed a minute or 2 to just check, reflect on their notes as they now have the names. Can I give just 3 minutes for that? And we proceed from there.
Please, Chairperson.
I'm ready to start.
Yes, Chair.
Okay. Like I said, I would ask that we just follow that order so that we don't need to raise hands. We start with the ANC, followed by the DA, then the EFF will then take the IFP thereafter.
Can I start, Chair?
Yes, please proceed, Honorable Kumbu.
Yes. From me, from the side of the ANC, I'm having two names. Start with the male one, that is Buku Zuko. That will be our first preference, followed by Delna Toga, Miss Dola Togna. Yes, Miss Dola Togna. They both performed well, and that if you check, Mr. Buku Zuko is a young person and did perform well. And coming to Mrs. Della Togna, she was with the MDDA for some times, and she also performed well, and also the fact that she's a woman. Those are the two names that I'm proposing, Chair. Thank you.
Mr. Malika, I'm sure you are able to hear the Honorable Kumbu. From the Democratic Alliance, Honorable Budana.
Chairperson, before I provide my names, can I just confirm that the honorable member who had just spoken had said Ms. Della Togna as the second preferred name? I missed the second preferred name.
Yeah, Ms. Della Togna, yes, as the second name. His name, Buku, yes.
Thank you, Chairperson. Please note for the Democratic Alliance as the first preferred candidate, Ms. Maharaj Nalini. And the second is Ms. Della Togna Martina. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. I did see Honorable Bambo.
Chair, thank you very much, Chairperson. I do see you as well. Good afternoon to the colleagues as well. I think, Chair, we as the EFF will forward the name of Carol Mohlala. I think that is the only name we will forward, and I think this committee would be best, and we would be best to put her forward. She has obviously an interesting background as someone who has been using her space to advocate for the LGBTQI community. And this is seen in her work when she was working as a communications manager for Lawyers for Human Rights. I think, Chair, that will be our submission as the EFF.
Well, thank you, Honorable Bambo, for the motivation. The IFP, Honorable Machozi.
Thank you, Chair. Mine will be Miss Martina Della Togna and also Miss Blaise Koyetsi. Those are the two. I remember the other candidates, I did not get to them. I had a network problem. Remember, there were 3 candidates that I couldn't get to them, but yeah, those are the 2 that were on top. Thanks, Chair.
You will please put them up, Mr. Malika.
Chair, can I confirm if you can see the screen? Thank you.
Yes, from my side I can. I take it that members do see. I think looking at the names, would it be fair to say that at least there seem to be two parties in agreement on one name, and that we try and persuade each other on the other name to be put forward?
Apologies, Chair. It's 3 for one name. IFPDA and sorry about it.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, it's maybe because it's not color-coded, so I thought there's nothing there. So that's almost 3. So I think that's more like a given. Then we may have to try and persuade each other on the other name. I think that's the round out allowed now for further motivation. I take it that Mr. Latokna, there may not be an issue. Are you objecting to that?
No, Chair.
I see the end of Honorable Bodlani.
Thank you, Chairperson. Perhaps you guide us on what the 2 stands for, because if I was to say the ANC provided 2 names, then it would be 1 and not 2. So I'm a bit lost with the keys that are on the spreadsheet. So please take me along.
Okay, I think it will be more from the point of the order of your preference, that the ANC had Buku as 1 and that Mr. Latokna as 2. You would have had that one Maharaj as 1, then you had Latokna as 2, then the EFF only had 1 name, and I think the IFP the same, Latokna 1, and 2 would have been could be place. Mr. Madika, am I capturing it correctly?
Thank you, Chairperson. Yeah, 100% correct.
Okay. No, thanks. But the point I was trying to make was that at least there's a sense of agreement in one name with 3. 3 in the sense that in any way the EFF said they only had 1 name. And that may not mean necessarily an objection to another name that get raised. But Honorable Pambo wanted to speak for himself. Honorable Pambo. Is it me who's out?
We can hear you.
We can hear you. Listen.
Yes,
I think I had not unmuted myself yet.
Okay.
Can you hear me now? No, Chair, you have captured it correctly. I think more than anything, for us, it was more of a tactic than anything. But to say that, we are willing to give 1 name, and as a way of persuading the House is to ask that perhaps we be considered with this 1 name now that we've, forfeited the other name, to put another name up. So maybe as a starting point, now that the other political parties agree on 1 name, at least can we be, accepted or allowed to have this 1 name that we put forward. It's an African Black woman who obviously has got what is or appears to be interesting and different from all the other candidates. And that is to, be an activist of the LGBTQI plus community. And I think from that point of view, if we can move in unison, we're not objecting to the name that it's agreed upon. We think that let us just balance it out and put Ms. Mohlala as one of the 2 names. Thanks, Chair.
Honorable Bodlani, your question was only on the numbering, or you wanted to now get to this point of persuasion so that I then give the other parties a similar chance to try and persuade the meeting. So we should be able to
Chairperson, my question was only.
Yes.
My question was only on the numbering, but if I had Honorable Bambo, well, he then repeated the number of Ms. Mihlala again, as opposed to giving a new name as per his explanation.
Yes. No, that's true. He's saying he's using the name to persuade the House to try and get closer to him and motivating the candidate. So it's not just the name, but the motivation that goes with it. So can I then go back again? Now we are opening space to all members of the subcommittee, having listened to the presentations. So we try and persuade each other. Like I said, I usually would not want to divide the House on the matter, but we try and find common ground because these are all South Africans before us. We are trying to get the best among the best we have interviewed. I see the FP has raised a hand, and I'm sure thereafter the DA and the ANC will then come. Can you proceed, the Honorable Machus?
No, thank you, Chair. With my second name, I don't think I was that fussy because they were, in fact, I had to choose between Carol and Koyetsi, and because they almost got the same points from me. I'm not fussy with that one, but in terms of persuasion, I think maybe we can then talk about it and say that I'm flexible in terms of that name. But also then can Honorable Pambo then, if he does not have a problem and he wants to persuade us to maybe consider Mohlala, and then he might also maybe consider putting the second name and saying that maybe does he agree with the one that got 3 points already, or is it a matter of him sticking to one name only?
No, I would not give Honorable Pambo space to speak. Just make sure that we do not see the other screen, right? Whoever's doing that, just make sure we don't. Yes, please. Otherwise, we'll have to ask Sita,
We'll be
to take us to another platform. Okay. That was related with honorable members. I think the point I'm making is that I would not give Honorable Pambo to come back on that matter because he had agreed with my understanding and summary of what he meant. Was that he's not opposed to the name that is agreed upon by the 3, and that makes that name to be at least a name that has been put already. We then agreed that the discussion we're entering now is a persuasion to get a second name so that the committee agrees. Like I said, the point really is not to start by dividing a house. We've not done it in the committee. So it's always about persuasion, and that's why I would listen to motivation that's being made. I'm not sure now, Honorable Machos, if you are clearer. I see your hand is up.
Yes, Chair, I know you've clarified me. Maybe I didn't hear him when maybe he had raised that point. But yeah, as I said before, that Ms. Mohlala and Ms. Koyetsi, they were not far away from my points. So if it were for me to consider, I would consider giving Ms. Mohlala as well.
The Democratic Alliance, like I said, I will then finish up with any member from the ANC to speak.
I beg your pardon, Chairperson. Is it my turn?
Yes, I was just saying it's your turn now, and then we'll take the NC, any member from the members of the committee to speak.
Okay, Chairperson, my first name was Ms. Maharaj. The report I got from Honorable Mbele was that she demonstrated solid understanding of the values and importance of partnership building as a foundation for improving MDDA long-term sustainability. So I am persuaded to keep her as the first person, but if I am to then support the nomination of Ms. Carol Mushala, it would be because she demonstrated solid understanding of opportunities for commercial value exchange partnerships in community media space and has a clear understanding of legislative review needed to enable MDDA to be more effective. So that is the dilemma I face, Chairperson.
So
Thanks, Chairperson.
the day is in a dilemma. The is in a dilemma. Right. And so, can I get from the NC those who want to speak on persuasion?
Yeah, it's me, Chairperson. Now, I think having listened to other honorable members here, I think I'm persuaded that we can take the name of Mushala.
So the democratic, yes, I heard you, Honorable Kumbu.
Okay.
Not sure if there's any other member want to speak so that we deal with the dilemma in the day on the names. I understand the difficulties that we are looking at all these candidates as we saw them, and everyone would have a motivation in that regard. But at some point, would have to recommend, as I said, the best amongst the best. At least there's movement towards one side. Are you persuaded, Honorable Polan?
I will support the nomination of Ms. Carol Mushala.
Okay. Now, I just wanted to be clear that we really do not try and work numbers unless there is a big problem. Honorable Pambo knows that that's always the approach, that don't question the numbers, we do have them already. But it's really about putting the interests of the country, and that we must be able to be representatives of the people who come with the names to engage and get persuaded. Is it the understanding then that we are putting forward the two names of Latogna and Carol Mushala?
Chair, I think we're all singing from the same hymn book. I think we're in unison. You were able to unite us, and we thank you for that. I don't think there is much, but I think speaking for the colleagues, they may contradict me if I'm wrong, but I get a sense that we are all in agreement and that everyone has gotten something. We may not have gotten everything, but we all got something that we wanted out of it. So I think we're fine.
Okay, that then takes us to a point where the committee support would be able to prepare a report. And when they prepare the report, they will take into account the discussions that have ensued. And the persuasion has not been about undermining any of the candidates that would have been put forward. But indeed, we're trying our level best to get a product that we can be able to say confidently we're sending forward final product. That in a way concludes this point on the MDDA honorable members. Those will be the two names that we're putting forward for the committee now to consider and then adopt names that will go to the House. Mr. Ngoma, I take it that was the main purpose for this one before we get to the other.
Definitely, Chairperson, that was the main purpose. We will draft the report during this period, and then the report will then be tabled by you, Chairperson, as a recommendation of the subcommittee to the committee on Tuesday, the 15th. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Ngoma. We'll then, as I said, the confusion with these committees is because some of us are sitting in all. So you may think you are still in another subcommittee. May I say that the next one, Mr. Ngoma, that will be convened would be the SABC, right?
You are correct, Chairperson. The next meeting, which is scheduled to begin in the next 3 minutes, would be the SA Subcommittee on SABC Board. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Through you, Chair, I just want to check.
Yes.
Through you, Chairperson. Yeah, I just want to check as to whether I was in the SABC committee, because it's long, man. This thing, we've done this thing last year. So I just want to be sure as to this committee or on ICASA or on all the committees. I just want to be sure.
I'll ask, remember you also replaced people, so I'll ask Mr. Ngoma to remind those that in the next meeting. Mr. Ngoma?
Thank you.
Doing that so that there's no logging out and then we struggle to get back. That's why I'm saying just clarify that point also from what has been confirmed by the new members that came into the committee.
Chairperson, the Democratic Alliance has clarified that Mr. Malati will be sitting in the ICASA and the SABC subcommittees. Chair, if you can just give me a minute before I then speak on the other changes. I just want to speak on something I'm certain of, so I'm just quickly checking my records. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. So it would mean that Honorable Bolani would not be joining the next 2 meetings. I think that's clarified.